But yeah, there's a squeak.
There's a squeak engine under there.
Yeah, what he said. We're gonna open all my shut up. It's not working well. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Keith here, Jesse on the camera. Tonight on the bench we got Mr. Eric Miller and his brand new RC four-wheel drive. What do they call this thing? Miller Motorsport's Rock Racer. Let's check them out. Pretty fancy artwork. We got like a sweet picture of Mr. Eric we can hang up over Jesse's bed there. Aww. But anyway, let's check this guy out. Pretty scale. I know there's lots of videos out already. If you're interested in it, you've already seen it. If you're seeing it here for the first time, then let's check it out together. You get a manual with 4 AA batteries. Nice to see you get some AA batteries in it. On top of that, we also get a complete body decal sheet. If you're not happy with the decals on it, you can reskin it in these, or possibly when clear body panels are available, you can use them there down the road or something. Personally, I like the trim on it. It looks good. Inside the box, you get some pretty fantastic packaging to protect the very, very high detailed scale unit. Pretty cool. Radio zip tied it. They didn't zip tie the truck in the box, but they zip tied the radio in. So, but between you and I, we're not even gonna use that radio at all. It's a Dumbo RC or something. Okay guys, what are we looking at? We are looking at RC4WD Drive's new Miller Motorsport 110 scale Ultra 4 race buggy RTR version. Looks pretty banging for scale realism out of the box. It is absolutely amazing. I can look at any part of this and talk about it for quite a while, but let's just take a quick overview. The buggy is based off of Eric Miller's Miller Motorsport's U4 truck. It is a tube chassis, Jeep if you would, on 4-link servo on axle, solid axle suspension. Very nice unit, set up very nice. Now the suspension on it has these nice little tender springs on the top and your heavy springs on the bottom. The tender springs will compress all the way down. That is what they're supposed to do. They're for the small bumps when you're ripping across the desert. But anyway, that's another story. We got big beefy sway bar in the front. We have another one in the rear, right here. There he is, right there. He runs really nice and low down there, so he gets a good angle. And we got these big fat bump stops right here. And it's sitting on trailing arm suspension with another hole in the top and bottom, so you can put another shock in the rear without a spring to get that dual look on the rear. Very cool. Might as well keep going up the back. We've got the storage toolbox on the back, the race fuel cell in the front, a couple fuel filters, a couple shut-off valves, another fuel shut-off valve looks like up here. We have the filler spout entry here with the tube into the tank. Fans up on the back, and you can actually put fans into the housing and bolt them in, so you can have the fan spinning. Very cool. The battery box on this rig is right here. There's 2 clips you take off. This little door comes off, battery slides in there. Now we found a 4,000 milliamp Smart Pack Spectrum battery. Fits in there nicely, but unfortunately the one at the shop was it had an issue, so they couldn't sell it, so we had to go with a 3200 milliamp, which will be fine for this rig for now. Tucks in there fine, no problem, if you're wondering. A hard full-size 5000 will not fit. Moving forward from there, we've got these cool U4 type mirrors. They've got the shiny bit on them. They're painted in these, you know, the aluminum kind of color they would be. You get a full detailed interior with 5 shifters on the floor. You have the Motec type dash. Can you see that there? You get the Motec type dash in there. You get the just a basic radio beside it, and then over here you have the T-bar handle for your passenger with a GPS screen. 2 bucket seats, looks pretty cool. The shifters sit actually right on top of the transmission housing inside there. We're going to pull this all apart and show you that transmission and motor and such coming up right away in the video. We're just doing a quick overview before we rip it apart, of course. So it has a Hobby Wing WP 1060BL RTR waterproof ESC sitting right up on the back shelf right there. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to go to a Fusion 2-in-1 unit, so the ESC and motor are together, and we can eliminate all that extra junk right there. Just have an on-off switch. Much cleaner, look a lot better. You might notice, I've seen a lot of complaints. People weren't happy that the colors of yellow didn't match. I've seen some people saying there's 7 different colors, which isn't true. These are covered with a clear plastic wrap where this isn't, so you end up with a little bit of a different color. It's not horrible. In the wrong light, it really stands out. I'm sure you might see it a bit more outside, but we'll just get it dirty, go from there. It's actually got the cool King of the Hammer or Ultra 4 race light on the back, but there is no pods on the back side of that to there's no pods on the back side to put lights into. Those are just kind of straight pass through, so we will either wait till somebody designs a piece that we can just buy the file in 3D print and put them in, or we can use some axial light buckets from like a Yeti or something like that. You get those light bucket kits. We might throw those in there and get that working. The front LEDs, I thought they would just receive a light. I seen a video where somebody said, oh, you can just put a light into it, but that's not true. They look like they open up on the back. I'm not 100% sure. There might be a card with LEDs coming from RC4WD Drive that will go into there to light those up, make them look good, but right now you can't just pop an LED in there without some modification, maybe drilling a hole or such. And it's got this cool little fair lead on the front. I think the fair lead is probably plastic. I'd like to think it's metal, but it's probably plastic. There is a lot of room. You could put a winch right behind that, run that no problem through there. The front grille is plastic, and everything else is pretty much injection molded from there. So body's Lexan, of course. Tires, wheels, tires. This is Method on the side, but these are clearly Walk-in Evans wheels. Don't know what happened there. And then the Nito decal and the JD model tires with the Nito tread pattern. A little bit different. They are a 2.2, but they're like a low profile 2.2. I believe they are only 5 inches tall, where most of our 1.9s are like 4.75, so they're not that big of a tire, but which is nice. It'll give you a little more handling, a little more control. And the tires themselves don't feel horrible. They're not vented, so we're gonna have to put some vents in the tires. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the quick overview of the truck before we tear it apart. Now let's talk about a couple of things that you should watch for and be careful on yours. These bump stops on the back will come loose. Add a little bit of Loctite onto them. I know it's plastic, or you can put a little bit of, yeah, I wouldn't put anything else besides a little dab of shoe goo on the outside that you can peel off after, or just a little bit of Loctite on the plastic, and hopefully that will help hold them in. After the first run, apparently they will come loose right away. The shocks are going to need oil, or yeah, you need shock oil in them definitely before you go out. You're also going to want to make sure that these little lockers for your differential here are in the upright position. We've seen some in pictures, for some reason they're down. I don't know if it was just assembled wrong, but you want to make sure that guy's up and out of the way. And that little screw on the end is Loctited in, because if this guy slips out, putting the frayed cable back through the hole is not easy. What else, Jesse? Missed anything? Oh yeah, and these drive shafts. They have this tiny little C-clip right there on them. And there's one in either side, one there, one there. What we're going to do is put a collar of heat shrink tube up around there and heat shrink those on, just so when you're clipping a rock or you're plowing through stuff, the little clip isn't trying to get ripped off. Which, you spin this drive shaft across a rock lip, those are gone, like instantly gone. The drive shaft falls apart. So we'll put the heat shrink on there. It's kind of a crapshoot to hold together, but yeah, it'll work. I could see eventually probably changing these out to a incision unit. Oh, these are cool. I like how they molded it to look like it's adjustable there. So yeah, super minor little things. Now today we're going to change the radio, we're going to change the motor, and we're going to change the servo. Basically all the subpar electronics we're going to bring up to par. I don't mind that they didn't put the greatest electronics in it. They spent more time focusing on the realism and the scale detail on it. Now there is a few things you're also going to want to watch, like when it's this scale, you have to understand there's a trade-off to it. If you take this thing and jump it off things and roll it down the stairs, you're going to break things that, you know, have to be designed in a certain way. Like if you look at the bend on that rear link, you don't have another link with that same bend in your toolbox, I'm sure of it, that would fit in there like that, and that will be a weak spot. Because of that sharp bend, the way this rod comes, that guy goes like that, and that being plastic, that is already beyond the point of being lateral, right? You're now just going to snap it off. So if you get rowdy on this guy, you're going to break it. I hemmed and hawed over it all day long, but at the end of the day, Jesse and I are scale fans. We're not basher fans. We're not this and that. We're scale guys, and this guy is right now probably the most ultimate scale RTR you could buy. Pretty much, yeah. Axial's new CJ7's coming up, but it doesn't have this level of detail. This guy's got brake rotors, brake calipers. We'll take the wheels off, show you that. There's another downfall there. These wheels have only the slot for the drive pin in the back. They are not a hex drive. So, unfortunately, I forgot to pick up a set of hexes to put our Vanquish wheels on it today. So tomorrow we'll have to get some hexes and do that. But it's already like 9 o'clock, and by the time we're done taking this thing apart, putting it back together, we won't need the wheels. It's going to be pretty late. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to take this apart. We'll go over a couple other things we find when we're in there to show you what to make sure you take care of it. The tongue twister. But yeah, let's rip this guy apart and get some more power, better steering. What was the third one? Oh, radio.
Radio.
Yeah, we talked to her. Okay, let's do it. This is a radio that comes with it. It's made by RC4WD. Get a new one. Okay guys, if you remember back, Jesse could play the clip where I just lied to you and said these panels are the same color, but it's a sticker throwing it off. I was actually wrong. The lights are kind of bright in here, and I just noticed that the hood is actually backed with silver instead of white like the rest of these panels. So what we're going to do when we have these panels off is we're going to mask them from this side completely, and then we're going to back them in silver and see if we can darken them up so we can match this Caterpillar more yellow color on the front. I'm pretty confident that is a good way to tackle it. Now before you take the body panels off, you want to make sure you take a lighter and you got the decals around the screws sitting nicely. They did a good job on this one. I've seen other ones out there, wasn't so great. Is this one open? Is this one already cut, or are we gonna cut that one?
I don't know if it's cut.
No way. Because this door flaps on there, you're saying?
Well, yeah, if you keep the sticker on, it'll flap open.
Yeah, so the body panel back here and this one are a separate panel. Actually, it's a 1, 2, 3 piece on this side because this is your battery door. So we need to cut that decal with a razor. Take a really nice, fine, sharp razor and cut that first. We did this side just before you take it apart, so you're not ripping that decal and you actually whoop and screw that up. You don't want to ruin the look of this beautiful machine. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that. I'm going to shut up. We're going to kick this into high speed. We're going to pull this apart. It's a bit of a treasure hunt. I know there is a sweet scale V8 under the hood of the thing. It's probably a Chevy though. I wish it was something else, but no, I was joking. But yeah, there's a sweet...
There's a sweet engine under there.
Yeah, what he said. We're going to open up. I'm going to shut up. It's not working well. There. Okay, let's do a reveal. Oh, there's no air filter. Just joking. The air filter actually needs to be glued on. This whole assembly, on some of them, it seems like the air filter falls off or the whole elbow falls off. Just make sure yours is glued on. Now that little scale V8 in there is pretty dope, actually. It's got the coil pack on top. It is a Chevrolet LS. It's got the coil pack on top with the individual spark plugs.
Fuel rails.
Yeah, it's got manifolds instead of headers on it, but whatever. It's got the log type manifold on it. Fuel rails on the top. You can hook up some wires and some lines to those. Pretty dope. It's got the alternator up on this side. Looks like, yeah, we've got the water pump in the middle. It actually even has like pulleys and a little. It's got pulleys and a little rubber O-ring that's routed around them for ultra scale detail. Really nice. They took the time to paint the coil wires running down from the coil packs to the spark plugs. And of course, on the bottom, we've got the scale oil pan with the oil filter. When we have that out, we'll paint that all proper. We'll give that a silver aluminum with a orange Fram oil filter on the bottom. Very cool. I'm liking it. It's got this little block on the side here. I honestly think, no, I know this little block on the side of the motor is so you can put one of the RC four-wheel drive winch motors, you know our little tranny winch motor, you could slide that into the block so you could make all these on the front turn. That's exactly what that's for. So they weren't playing when they came to the market with this engine cover. I'm sure the RC four-wheel drive headers off the small block and stuff you could put on there if you wanted to make it look cooler, but hey, a log style manifold worked for us. Now it is bolted up to a scale transmission bell housing, which runs back to a scale transfer case. The reason that we bought this is because it is super scale. And oh look, there is even a spot on the front to put a winch plate to run a winch right there. So that was a question we had earlier. They've really thought of everything. Now it does have an alignment pin in the front and 4 specifically spaced holes that I don't think of any plates I can think of that fit that, so I'm sure they will release something that fits there. What's this? What am I doing that for? That's weird. But I'm sure they're gonna release a plate that we can put a nice winch on there and run that through the fairlead in the front. That's pretty cool. So I'm starting to think that this is probably still plastic, but oh no, that is a metal. Yeah, that's a metal fairlead. So yeah, nice. It's already got a metal fairlead in it. Very cool. Very, 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 very cool. Very happy with this thing. Glad I bought it. Now it does have that brushless motor tucked inside. You see that little bit of orange in there. Now it is a 1200 kV brushless, and some of the videos I watched, a lot of people said there was no tunability and blah 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 blah. I don't even know if anybody tried to plug a Hobbywing programmer into it and program. I didn't see that. We might try that on it, but we already spent the money and we bought one of the Hobbywing Quick Run Fusion Special Edition 2-in-1 for the crawler. This is an 1800 kilovoltrons, whatever you want to call them. It is only a little bit more sauce. Now, my bad, I made a mistake. I thought this was a 2100 because when my buddy at the shop held them up, I don't listen when I'm shopping. Don't worry, it's my problem. This one fits the 2100 Fusion Pro. Yeah, the Fusion Pro is a little bit bigger and longer than this can, and I'm pretty sure would not fit in here. Now, I don't even know if this guy will fit. We're going to figure that out when we pull it apart. This 1060 or whatever brushless motor that's in there has roughly about a 1/4 inch extra room on the back side of it. We're hoping, that being a Hobbywing and this being a Hobbywing, the port on the side is on the same angle that the screws for the motor plate, so everything tucks in. There is a video of a gentleman that put a Mamba slate into it, and he had to lose the oil pan on the bottom, and we're not willing to sacrifice any of the scale parts on it. So we're going to keep it together. We're going to get that in there. Okay guys, Jesse just quickly unskinned this thing, took the wheels off. There are 6 4mm screw nuts you have to take off to remove the wheels on them. Now, if you're wondering for future upgrades, in case his wheels don't hold up, we know from dealing with the JD models, which these are licensed to RC four-wheel drive for resale, they is the same bolt pattern as a Vanquish hub or wheel. So if you want to keep all the scale realism with the disc brakes and all that stuff on there, there is a file that you can buy to print, or actually we got ours on Thingiverse for free. Look for the F-150 Raptor for RC four-wheel drive, and they have a spacer that you 3D print. You put that on, you put on a Vanquish wheel with no hub, and then you put the 6 4mm nuts all the way around. If you have a tiny washer, that helps, but we were able to fit them without. So yeah, so pro tip there. Anyhow, let's take a look at it without its skin. It is absolutely beautiful. Like, it is really scale, really nice. We noticed actually after we took it off, it even has like a wet sounds type looking sound bar, I believe, up in the top. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It's got a big volume knob in the middle. Pretty much looks, I'm pretty sure it's a wet sound bar up there. Yeah, pretty cool looking stuff. We did notice the exhaust collectors do enter the cab. This one comes right behind the gas pedal. This one comes out right into the passenger's shin. But our plan for this is to flip them over, run them forward, put a couple of turret skis up at the front, and put it into full party mode, right? So we'll deal with that, plug up the hole in the floor there, maybe build a little cover for the front. But anyhow, let's quit dreaming and get back to the project here. Now, we got the body panels off. Like I said, we noticed that the hood is backed in silver and the other ones are backed in white. So we're going to try to back these guys in some silver and see if we can darken that yellow up just a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's a good way to do it. Now, you got to make sure that you mask off this side before you spray it or you'll ruin them. So take the time, mask that out good, make sure all your decals are down before you do that, give it a good clean. Oh yeah, so like we discussed, the battery door goes in right here. You got two little, whatever you want to call these, pin bosses, really nice little stainless pieces. They're actually fairly small. You put a nice little clip in there. They're not this big, obnoxious 6mm round, stupid, ugly thing. So it looks really good. Plus, even like the firewall and everything is done really nice. It gets thought out really well. Maximum scale detail. It's got a clutch pedal, a brake pedal, a gas pedal. They might not be in the right position, but they're there. We can mess with that, change them around, paint them up, have some fun with it. As you know, we like to spend a lot of time detailing this stuff, so we're going to go all out. We are going to get these lights working, everything done till we can. So yeah, battery door here. What else we want to talk about real quick? It does have, well, this is getting pulled out, so it doesn't matter what that connector is. The other one's got, I think the other one's got the same one, XD60 on it. On the quick run. So we got limit straps on it, pretty cool. I like limit straps. Like I think we were just talking about them in the last video we did. Very cool. These ones are adjustable. I like them a lot. I haven't played with adjustment. I don't know how adjustable they are. They might just look like they're adjustable, but I think, yeah, they're just a basic wrap. You can adjust that pretty decently. So it's pretty cool that they put them in there. We probably are going to internally limit these shocks when she comes up. There are 100mm shocks fully extended, and we want about 90, so we're going to choke them down. Probably 8-ish mm inside, kind of see what we end up with there. So not quite 90, a little over 90. And yeah, let's move under this thing. It's pretty cool. Okay, so underneath you can see we've actually got the boat sides. Boat sides is that angle right there coming out from the center. It helps slide on things, get around, make the bottom a little bit narrower of the buggy, make it actually feel a heck of a lot smaller. And then you've got this full skid plate across the bottom, and underneath there yet is more cage and your transfer case, a little half shaft. It is so cool. Let's get that part open really quick. Now, it is a mix of Phillips and metric hardware. They went with the Phillips so they can get this really nice flush in there. And you know, it even looks like an HDPE slider plate, whatever that we would build on the bottom, like Jesse and I have on the bottom of our full-size side-by-side, so we can slide over rocks and crap on the trail. Let's document this discovery together. Okay guys, so as you just noticed, as we're pulling this bottom cover off, I pushed my screwdriver down and the motor moved like a lot, and then I pushed it back up and like everything's flexing down here. Oh, and there's a shim. So when you take that skid plate off, watch for that shim. Okay, so underneath, yeah, we just noticed this pretty much flat plate, doesn't have much other support, and he's holding the load of the whole motor and transmission unit, which is about 6-7 inches long. He's pretty big. So pretty much between here and here, this can all flex. So we were just talking while the camera was idling, we're going to cut a aluminum plate this size to fit on there. We'll match it exactly to this, and then we'll put this over top of the aluminum plate so it still has a slippery, slaggy surface, and once we bolt that in, that will tie it together. Plus there's 2 bolts here for the transmission mount. Okay, anyhow, moving on guys, you can see underneath, again, super scale, we have the transmission ending into the 4-wheel drive type transfer case, which then comes forward to this little half shaft, which drops it down to a carrier bearing, which gets it onto a nice angle to run out to the front dry shaft. So very cool, very choice, very awesome. You have another dry shaft, of course, running to the rear tire. The rear angle gets a little extreme at full droop. Once we choke that down a little bit to about there, we're going to be much happier with that, and it'll be a lot happier with us. Now you have 4 cables running out of the 3 servos on the back. We'll get into that once we open it and figure out what they've done in there ourselves, and we'll tell you how that works. The cable on the rear here is to unlock your differential. There's another cable here for your 2-speed transmission, and then one for the rear diff lock, one for the front. I assume the front and rear diff lock will be on the same switch. I think they were on the same knob before, because you had 2 knobs and a button on that piece of crap radio they sent it with. So we'll let you know once we get the receiver out. We can see what everything's tagged as and figure that out. But anyhow, we want to show you that super scale chassis on the bottom end. We do need to add a support plate. Simple enough with cutting a thicker aluminum plate, putting it on there, a little bit longer screws to countersink it into the material, maybe a bigger screw, countersink it in, get a little more bite, because they just thread it into plastic, so heck, we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, anyhow, let's pull the rest of this skid plate out. We can drop out that motor. I'm gonna take the drive shafts off, all that fun stuff. There's not much to see here, guys. Pull your links here, 3 screws, 3 screws. That should drop down. Take your drive shafts off first. Don't pull everything out, as you still have the 2 cables hooked up. We're going to try to do this, just kind of bring it out, take off the front half, kind of put it back in. I don't want to have to pull the cables and reroute them, and I don't want to kink or damage anything. So we don't know how it's all going to turn out, but stay tuned. We're going to try to get that out as simple as possible without removing everything. Okay guys, I got the drive shafts taken off. They are not a drilled through shaft. They're like half drilled through. I don't know why they just didn't go through. I might finish drilling through and put a pin through. It uses a double set screw, one long one that goes into the pocket of the shaft and another one on the other side. I don't care for that type. I like a pin through, locked in, good enough. I've had too many problems with these in the past. We're gonna probably try to upgrade that while we have the transmission out of the truck. Okay, so I'm gonna have to clip a bunch of zip ties through here to free up this cable. I did remove the bottom 4 bolts that hold the links in down here. So we got these bottom bolts taken out, and then it's 3 here and 3 here. And then you can take out these 2 screws, leave the transmission in, and then you can take out this lower skid. These are just a binder type screw. It would be nice if they used a machine screw in there. After only so many times in and out, these screw holes will be drilled out. So kind of the running theme on this thing is the binder type screw, like you know, coarse thread, like wood type screw. I don't know if you can see that little guy there, but you know what I mean. The sharp guy with the point on the end. A plastic screw. I'm probably gonna replace these all with a little bit longer machine screw just to get a little longevity out of it. I recommend doing the same. These guys honestly feel a little bit short. They're not really getting full purchase in there. I'm going to see how deep the hole is on the inside and see if we can get away with a little bit longer of a machine screw in the bottom. Okay, so those 6 out, 2 in the back here. Watch for shims when you pull these out. Again, more binder screws, a little bit smaller ones there. We'll put them off to the side. Okay, so no shims in that department. Now this skid plate is ready to almost come out. Yeah, there is another half shaft here. Once I pull them out, he's going to separate and fall off. Yeah, I'll just do that. We can finagle that back in later. Oh my. Ooh. Okay, well that seats in there really nice, but yeah, see, when you do a really scale build like this, and not everything crosses over, because in the full-size buggy, he's going to have a bottom plate like this, which is going to be like 2 3/4 or 2.5 inch, but like 240 wall, like 1/4 inch, big beefy wall on it. So this will not flex, and this will be like your epicenter you build the whole buggy off of. So it's cool they went that scale on it. We're going to toss that extra 3mm aluminum plate on the bottom, and that's going to deal with that. The motor wires on this motor are like huge long. Okay, so a little bit of finagling, you can get that guy up. Now remember, we don't want to mess with these cables on the back here. We want to keep these cables from being kinked and pulled on and tugged. I don't want to have to undo them and put them back in. That will not be fun. So we're going to have to just try to work around them without kinking them. Anyhow, there's your scale engine. Looks pretty cool. There's that little spot we're talking about. You can put a little box, a little gearbox motor in there to pull. You can actually run your belt around that, get everything turning. That'd be pretty cool, actually. So I'm sure they'll come up with a little upgrade down the road. It's cool. Like even the alternator's like a separate piece mounted on there. It's pretty cool. They did a good job on it. We have to give them good credit on that one. So okay. I'm going to quickly just unplug this here. Okay, and we can open this guy up. Okay guys, you'll see we've got this thing flipped back over. I decided I'm actually trying to pull the cables out. Might make our lives a little bit easier so we can do a full service on that transmission. There's a lot of little bits you got to kind of yard out to get in there, so the rear fan's going to come out, and then you can take the rear shock tower supports out, and then you can take out the bar that crosses over this other box to get into where the servos are. So we got a bit of digging yet. So a little crossbar that runs across here. You got to take out the back screw of the shock so you can get this guy to bend up out of the way to get a screwdriver in there to pull it out. Yay! So many different size screws. I'm just going to put them back in the parts as I take them out. Okay, we should be able to push the fans out of the way because there's more bolts I can't see or get to the bottom of the fans, but enough to just get to those front screws and get them up and out. So don't forget to unscrew your filler fuel here and also your little fuel shut off, and there's a little hose that runs down here. You just pluck that out. Okay, that's pretty much ready to go. Let's see if we can get these front screws out. No drama. Wow, that's good. Okay, once you're done removing all that, you can actually see the 3 servos in the back that make everything function. We are after these 2 cables here. We got to pull those out and run them out. I don't really want to pull that cable out the end, but it's really, we got to get comfortable doing it working on the truck. So okay, there we go. We were going to try to service this inside there, and that's just crazy talk. So Jesse's going to cut that part of the video down. We're just going to do this from here. So if you've seen that part, just ignore it. But anyhow, yeah, so it looks like 2 screws right here that hold the top of the engine cover on, and 2 on the front down here, possibly. This might just, no, it seems like it's part of that part. So let's start here. Okay, so take 2 guys off right here. Free up the top engine cover. Skip shit. Okay, 2 right. Yeah, good. There we go. Okay. So there we go. We have our BL 3650 1200 kV orange can motor. Looks like we've got 4 bolts on the bottom to pop the motor plate off of the transmission. Now it is a planetary transmission, so you pull that apart, the gears may fall out. Just watch which orientation they need to go back into. Perfect, so they came off really well. I've seen this cap fall and stay on there. You want that to stay on pretty much in line the way it is. You'll have your output drive down here, your pinion in the top, and these two little notches. There's one here and one here, so they fit in the bell housing. That gives you alignment. So pretty cool. So you wanna, there's your transfer gear right there, little guy. Keep him up to the side. And there's your main output gear off your pinion. So your pinion goes to that guy, which then runs off to that little dude there. I guess they call him the sun gear? I'm not sure. He's the one in the middle. The three planetary gears go around, and then there's a big one on the outside which transfers the power. Witchcraft, I say. Okay, so you want to pay attention to your mesh here. There is or the height of the pinion gear. But before we do all that, let's make sure this new Hobby Wing Quick Run Fusion Special Edition 1400 kV motor is going to fit. 1800 kV or something, I don't know. So luckily we had that extra little 1/4 inch room in there because this bad boy is just a little longer, but he has the ESC, everything all in one, so we can free up that space. He's got a really nice long lead wire. I do have extensions, we will have to extend that in, but first off, yeah, we've got 6 places to clock the motor. Yeah, right, about. Yeah, we'll have to play around, find a good spot for that because the oil panel on the bottom and such. I hope we don't have to notch out or something. I won't, maybe we'll clock it up. Who knows? I'm going to take that off. We'll get this guy mounted, play around with angle bit, and I'll jump back in and show you guys what he came up with. Okay guys, so yeah, I jumped ahead a little bit. We got the motor installed. Like I said, we're going to toss it and come back. Ended up putting on a series on Netflix and just going through detailing and painting and all pretty quick. We painted the top on all the plastic with flat black, so it's not just a plastic color. And then I went through and painted everything with a Tamiya flat aluminum color, and then we did a black wash over top of it to kind of give aluminum a bit of a darkness and richness. We did the headers with, or the manifolds with a flat clear, and then we gave them a dark wash over top and with a bit of different color. It kind of dulled it up a bit. But anyhow, cool thing is, we put the gear drive motor in and hooked up the belts on the front to that. We took the pulley from up here, put them down here, and we just E6000 glued them onto that so we can hook up a controller to this and wire that off of our main channel 2, right? That would be your throttle, yeah, your channel 2. And then we can split that on another speed controller to run those, so that way we can have running belts on the front of the motor. So kind of cool. It's cool that they put that kind of provision into it, that we can do that with it. Little added thing. So might just put it on straight power and a switch or something that we turn off and on. It's like you don't really need it running all the time, right? So kind of cool. So yeah, we're gonna run this wire up into the back of the box, and then for now we're just gonna leave it until we get a controller and get that sorted. I just wanted to get that done while we were in there. So yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, the 2-in-1 fits in there. You do have to hog out a bit of material on the front plate. You can see that it is right tight to that front plate in there. I did remove a whole bunch of material, strip the whole thing apart, get out your sanding block and stuff, and just drop it down that way. It's the easiest way to do it. You got to take about 3 millimeters out of the front of it to get everything to fit again. So the 2-in-1 Special Edition Quick Run 1800 fits in there. I'm glad I didn't get the Pro because I don't think the Pro would have fit in there at all. So I'm going to put this back together, and we'll jump back in a few seconds here when the truck's back together. Okay guys, we've got this guy looking back like a roller. We got the wheels onto it. We've got that scale motor in there rocking, looking really good. We'll show some more details on that. I have got the wire running back here for the power for it. I'm going to work on the controller to make it spin in another video. I think I'm going to add a BEC into the back and a micro speed controller so we can actually get some good RPM range with that. We were going to use the servo drive, but a servo drive is more kind of like a little bit of modulation and then wide open, so it doesn't really work well. I can get it to slowly spin and then just kind of on, right? So we're going to play with that in another video. But anyhow, we got it back together. The cables in the back, we only had problem with one cable in the middle fraying. I had to cut the housing a little shorter. It's just a pain in the ass. I tried to solder them, and they just wouldn't tin up for me. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but they just would not take the tin. So, not the biggest fan of the servo setup in the back to lock everything. And when you are using everything in their locked up position, those guys are pulling pretty hard on those cables, especially the locker with the 2 cables to keep everything locked position. I don't know how long the stock servo will last, but we'll just throw in a decent NSD RC or a Reef servo in the back, something some quality that can hold a load and not burn out. Anyhow, from there we've got the shocks to do. I've got the roof off. I was just putting a little bit of pad down in the middle of the center console, make it look a little different, kind of add a little pizzazz to it. I noticed the GPS on the dash here has got a fish finder display on it. You can see the bottom of the lake and a picture of the lake where you are on it. So it's cool they've got like the Helix 9 or 10 on there, but they got the wrong graphic on there, so it's kind of funny. We did extend the battery cable, so we can run that out there. We've got our power switch mounted on the firewall right there. Looking pretty good. The motor looks fantastic now with the detail done on it. And we also swapped over to the Reese Raw 500, and you'll notice that I did flip the servo over so it is upright, and it is not a right-hand vehicle, right-hand steering vehicle, right-hand drive vehicle, so you wouldn't have the servo horn on the right-hand side running over to the left. You'd have it on the left running down to the right. Now that I flipped it over, it's actually running right in the center. I like that more. We did change over to just a Vanquish Link. I'm going to look for one that actually fits, so we don't have to have the spaces on the adjuster, but there's nothing wrong with that. So, anyhow, yeah. What we're here to talk about is that bottom tray. You can see the motor moves around a little bit. It's not so bad once you get everything bolted in. But we went out to the shop and we cut a stainless steel plate the same size and shape as our skid plate, so we can put the two together and bolt that in. That's going to give us a little more down low weight, nice and rigid. We have the plastic to slide over top of it still. The stainless itself is hard enough where it'll just slide without the plastic cover, but it just looks cool having the sandwich on there. So now that's going to stiffen everything up a lot, so we're going to quickly throw that in, put the body panels back on. Okay guys, there you have it, the RC 4-wheel drive Miller Motorsports U4 buggy back together. I went ahead and put some 50 weight Traxxas shock oil in there, get her riding a lot nicer now, no more bounce to it, feeling a lot better. We did change out some of the hardware, especially the ones that hold out the top of the shocks. They're just a little tiny, like, wood type screw, no good. We put just a regular machine screw, ran a little bit longer, kind of out the bottom. That's going to hold better in there. We did the scale painting on the motor. We got that little spot on the side they utilized to put in a gear drive running. And of course we switched out from the 1200 kV stock Outcry motor system to an 1800 Fusion Quick Run 2-in-1 unit. I know in some of the videos we watched online, some people were talking about the drag brake being too heavy for a beginner driver, but that is from the transmission being a planetary. In second gear, we turned down our drag brake on the Quick Run Fusion Special Edition 1800 kV motor. We turned that down, so in second gear, you can notice it, but in first gear, as soon as you let off the throttle, she locks up the tires pretty quick. So that is coming from the deep reduction out of the transmission. There's not much you can do there, but in second gear, we've got it dialed in pretty nice where it still works to slow it down, but it's not hectic and doesn't upset the vehicle. Moving to the front, we put the Reese Raw 500 in the front. We flip that servo mount over and we change the link going from this side to this side, down to this side, so it fits the North American type market of the left-hand drive vehicle. That was just more a personal preference. Plus, we've got the Raw 500 logo sitting the right direction on there, looking fantastic. We did that skid plate on the bottom. We used 2mm stainless steel plate. We copied the plastic, put it on there, bolted it down. Now that stiffened up this motor and transmission in the front. If you guys remember earlier when I'm taking it apart in the video that it was flexing just by pressing onto my finger. Now we've got no movement at all in there. A lot better, a lot more peace of mind when you're bashing her through the whoops and the bumps and stuff, that motor's not flopping around inside there. We did go ahead and we shoe glued on the intake, the filter, all that good stuff. The bump stops on the back, the caps on them were already shoe glued on. There's a little bump stop there. Boop, boop. You gotta make sure that little cap on the back is glued on. Ours came with excess glue hanging off, so we knew it was done from the factory. Radio system, we swapped out to the Spectrum DX5 Rugged with the SR515 receiver. It was pretty much plug and play, a little bit of basic programming to hook up your 3 extra servos for your extra functions. The cable system on it works. I'm gonna probably end up changing out the 3 servos in the back to something that can handle holding the load, maybe something stronger, an NSDRC or a Reef little micro servo in there to help hold the load, because there's quite a bit of tension, especially on the one that does the lockers, holding both the springs back cocked all the time to keep the lockers engaged. So it's not a detent mechanism like Traxxas uses where it flips locked or flips unlocked. These pull and hold locked and have to continue to pull and hold locked until you let them go. So if you're going to lock it up and drive around with them locked all the time, I don't think that servo is going to last too long for you. You might just want to manually lock them instead of doing that. So but yeah, for what it is a scale replica of Mr. Eric Miller's U4 Jeep kind of buggy deal. They went over the top with the scale detail in it, so there is a trade-off. When you're this scale, it's not going to be, you know, the toughest or the most bashable thing on the market, but my god, it was fun to work on. It was great to see all the different changes and everything a lot different for RC 4-wheel drive. We're used to the Trail Finder line, a couple of other trucks, but this is completely different for them. Obviously it is a rebranded JD's Models kit, but fantastic. I do have the Raptor, which is, you know, another one of the units that they kind of stepped outside of the box with. It is very scaled to the full-size Raptor, so these guys are going to go together quite nicely. We are going to do the Vanquish 2.2 wheel. Once my printer shows up here, I'm going to print a new spacer, and we can pop on the new wheels. And yeah, once we can put I'll show you guys in another video how we're going to do that. Anyhow, also, we backed these panels in a black paint to try to bring it down. They were backed in a white, and this is backed in a silver, and they did throw the color off. Now, it's in the right angle. See, right angle, it's right. It looks good, so that helped a lot. So if you guys back your panels in black, you can get your color to darken up a bit on this yellow, because usually this yellow is pretty bright and this one's pretty dull. So anyhow, we're going to take this outside for a little bit of ripping. It is winter here, so we'll do a little bit of two-wheel drive, some donuts, some hooning, some stuff like that, and then get to clean it all. We'll see you guys in a few seconds outside.